Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Fatmata here from Traditionally Inspired Meaningful Art, and I have a video that I've been wanting to post prior to like a Friday sews because I think it'll be a lot to kind of try and jam pack into one video. So I wanted to bring to you a sort of June plans video because I saw that I was starting to dig into a lot of the makes that I plan to start getting into this month, and I was like, I should probably let you know what you're in for the next couple of weeks. So I'm really excited. On the mannequin here, you will see I have some things that I've already begun. As you may know, if you watched last week's Friday Sews video, tonight actually, as I'm recording this, is Thursday. And it's prom, so I will get into what I made for prom. And on Sunday is graduation, so I made a switcheroo for my graduation dress plans, and I'll let you know about that. And yeah, I have a ton of other things that I'm really itching to dive into for the rest of the month. I feel really inspired, have a lot of sojo, and wanted to make good on it while it is here. Couple of things. I have my nails done, which honestly, I can count on a hand how many times I've had my nails done, and it feels really, really nice. I didn't have, of course, the fabric with me, so I didn't know the exact color, but it's nice. It's like a corally color, and it's very, it's been strange. Like as I've been sewing or in the evenings, I'm like, whose hand is that? Like, I feel really fancy. Okay, where to even begin? Let's begin with the things that I have made and then what I hope to kind of get into as we progress. So this is the dress. I thrifted this beautiful, like really vibrant hot pink fuchsia fabric. It's like a chiffon. It's not opaque because it's chiffon, but I mean, it's quite substantial, this fabric. And I was just so pleased. I was able to make this gorgeous dress. It has three gathered tiers to it. Really decadent, full, big. I had about 6 yards of this fabric or so, maybe 5 to 6 yards of this. And I thrifted it, I think, for $6.99. So really, I mean, it was a steal. And I wanted to use up a lot of the fabric. Like I was willing to kind of do as much as I could. And with that being said, let me tell you what pattern I used. So I've used this Simplicity pattern before. It is S9225. And I made, have I used it more than once? I know I made my like sort of birthday dress back in 2021. And I really like how simple it is. It's a raglan sleeve dress. It has this sort of higher neck if you use view A, which is what I used. And yeah, it's really nice, and it has a simple sort of bodice feature. So I used that pattern to draft the sleeves and the bodice centers. I did not add the pleat that they have in the bodice fronts. I didn't need that because I was going to be adding the gathered skirt. I think having this sort of cowl almost, or this higher neckline cut on the bias is really nice. It folds over really beautifully, and the raglan sleeve just made it a bit easier to sew. Everything is French seamed in here, even throughout the tiers, because it's quite sheer, of course. So I wanted to make sure that I was able to do that. So lots of French seams. I made sure that I snipped and ripped my fabric for these bottom tiers. I just measured, I think about 17 or so inches wide to account for seam allowance, to account for a little bit extra. I would rather it be too long than too short, was my mind frame at that time. It's very heavy, which is why it keeps like dropping out of my hand. And that's why I just have it sort of slung across the mannequin, but I'm really looking forward to wearing this tonight. Yeah, I think it's going to be super fun. I'm going to wear a belt with it in the center, but I will show you photos of that maybe in Friday Sews tomorrow. Now to wear under it, again, because it's not completely opaque, I had this silk charmeuse like fabric in my stash, and I didn't have a ton of it. I had under 2 yards of it, like a bit over a yard. And I cut out this, what I would consider like a tunic, if you will. Use the same pattern, but instead of using the flutter sleeve version, which is from version B, which is what I use for the outer dress, I just lengthened it. I instead used the 2-part sleeve that is in view A, and that allowed me to use on the back side this beautiful maroon silk that I had. So it's like this tonal sort of situation. Now here's my thing. I look at this and I think it has potential, like this garment on its own to stand on its own as a dress. I have some other silks that I had picked up in a Silk Sonic haul at G Street Fabrics. On that particular day, I bought a ton of various colors and different types of silk. There are some, as you see, like this maroon is a lot more matte and it is a bit sheer. So here is that maroon, and I can absolutely see you all through this. I don't know if you could see me, but it's sheer. So the issue I was having, I was initially going to just cut it this tunic length and then add the maroon to the bottom and, you know, have this like 2-tone dress that I can wear even after I wear it under the prom dress for tonight. But I think that maroon, because it's so sheer, like I could see straight through my legs in that, which wouldn't make me comfortable. So I have some other silks that are opaque or very similar, have a sheen to it, etc., that I am going to play with and see if I could, one, wear it tonight, of course, for the purpose that I made it to wear as sort of like a slip, if you will, under the dress that I'm wearing tonight. But thereafter, I could then sort of do a nice color block situation with some of the other silks that I have and complete this to make a full length dress that I can wear later on. So that is the plan for this. I don't even know if I'm going to be finishing off the neckline, to be completely honest with you, when I wear it tonight under this dress, mainly because a part of me feels like this could be a really cool like button front sort of top. Though I know silk is delicate, I don't know if I'm going to want to fiddle with doing buttonholes throughout it. I might just put a placket as a closure. But as it stands right now, I cut both the front and the back on the fold. So there is no placket, there's no closure. So I have just been kind of getting my head through it with the basting stitches in at the neckline. Like that's it. So I loosely used that same Simplicity S9225 to make this, but have more work to do to actually be able to wear it on its own, but really excited to see what I come up with. I just didn't want to rush myself. So that's what I have for prom, which you would have seen if I did this plans video sooner, but now that turned into kind of a makes portion, but that is for prom. For graduation, what I had in mind initially was to use this incredible lilac colored knit that I picked up in the dead stock section also at G Street during their President's Day sale. However, I'm having a really hard time really settling on a design that I want for this. Will I have other events throughout the summer where I could wear something beautiful like this? The answer is yes. So I'm not in a huge rush if I don't have something in mind that I really feel like I won't regret sort of cutting into the fabric and making something that I'm not super thrilled with. If I get to it, that's fine, but it's Thursday, graduation's on Sunday. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll get to it. However, what I had already cut out that I intend to make this month is from my Make 9. That is Simplicity 8735. So it's this gorgeous woven wrap dress. I cut view D and added about 9 inches to the very bottom because I thought view D was going to be maxi length. However, I believe it's midi length. So I definitely wanted to maximize on this gorgeous jacquard rayon that I picked up also in the dead stock section at G Street Fabrics. I'm a broken record over here, but what can I say? I've been enjoying my stash, been enjoying the fabrics that I've picked up recently. And I have actually been working on this after finishing the prom dress yesterday. Yesterday night, I started putting the skirt together. And then during my lunch break today, I started putting the bodice together, which I am lining. So let me show you how that's going so far. So far, so good. I'm doing French seams throughout. Again, I haven't really worked with my serger in a little bit. Oh my goodness. Also, for all of these layers, so there are about 10 widths of fabrics worth of gathers in this. So 450 inches worth of gathering in the prom dress. And I did it the manual way. 2 rows of stitching, gathering them. What in the world? I wanted to use the new method that I've recently been using with my serger, where you kind of fix all of the knobs and stuff, and then it feeds the fabric through and gives you an even set of gathers. However, I just imagined how bulky it would be, even though you sort of trim when you're doing a French seam and then before you do the second row of stitching. I just felt like it was going to be really bulky. I don't quite have this color, so any of the maroons or reds that I would use to put in my serger thread, I felt like would eventually show. I don't know. I didn't want to fuss with it. I went maybe the harder route, but also I think it was worth it. I was able to put the gathers exactly where I wanted. It took a long time, but it was good. Back to what I think is going to be the graduation dress. I have the skirt piece here. Now, one of the things that I had to realize as I was making this is, for the view that I'm doing, they want you to put like a D-rings right here to the side, and then you would just have one tie. So for example, if the D-ring was on my right side, then I would have the waist tie attached here to the left side, and then I would just attach it. Now, I'm looking at the crossover of this. I cut a size 12. So when I look at the amount of crossover that's here, it stops like, this is my belly button. So it does go over maybe 3 or so inches away from that, but I'm going to have to turn this under to, of course, like finish off the seam. So I'm losing, like, it's about 5 maybe inches of crossover, which for me is not enough. That's all I want to say. Like, I feel like, and after looking at photos on Instagram of folks who have made this, there's a lot of thigh, like people are posing a lot and have just a slither of thigh showing, which it's gorgeous. They look beautiful. I don't want that. So I am thinking about using the same green rayon challis that I'm using in my bodice lining to extend whichever one of the flaps I'm going to have go on the inside. I'm thinking about extending it with the green because I don't have any more of this jacquard rayon, and making sure that I have full coverage. And that's one of the reasons why me and Brat dresses, you know, we have to talk first before we get along. But I am hopeful that it's going to be great, and it's fully maxi. I think it's going to be beautiful. So that is going to be a make that hopefully will be done soon and in time for graduation. I thrifted this, I don't know, a year at least or 2 years ago, and it's gorgeous. It really does go and work well with that green that's within the leaf of this print and the vines there. I'm sorry, the stems. So I want to use this because one of my goals for 2022 was to begin to utilize and explore my stash and its abundance, especially my trims and notions and all of that. So I think this would be a great use of it. So that is going to be something I make up as well. Really excited to dig into this trim and see how I could utilize it. And I'm hopeful that I'll have enough left over to use on another make some other time. Okay, I think this is the month that I am going to actually begin making the Zimmermann inspired Riders striped dress. I am making mine out of linen, not cotton voile, which the original was made out of. And I think I finally have my final assortment and arrangement of the colors. This is the color sort of scheme and layers that I think most closely resembles the inspiration dress using the fabrics that I have. So I have some of my remaining fabrics here that did not necessarily make the cut or that I swapped for something else. The newest member of this ensemble is this lovely deep purple eggplant, almost maroon sort of colored linen look fabric. So this is a recent acquisition. I went to Joann's last week and saw this in the remnant section. I ended up getting it for, so it is a wood potent purple solid viscose linen blend. So it's 85% viscose. It feels lovely, by the way, and 15% linen. I think it's like highway robbery that they can call this linen look, but you know, what have you, it's fine. I ended up paying under $4 for a yard of this. So I felt like it definitely went with, you know, the whole sort of vibe of where all of these other linens have come from, with them having been, you know, either sourced from the thrift store or in the dead stock section over at G Street or within the clearance section at Joann's. So I was happy to bring that along, and I think it just fits in with this color palette so well. And I do think that the sort of edits that I've made based on the colors that I have actually do fit more in line with my color palette that I've recently had done, the winter one. I think some of these, like this bright orange, is obviously not in it, nor is probably this burnt orange, but again, keeping them sort of not directly up against my face, and then inserting some of these other colors that might be a bit closer. So I sort of have a game plan on how I want to execute this, and it might not have the rickrack sewn onto it, which is from, again, borrowed from the inspiration dress. It might not have the rickrack sewn onto it this month because I know that I don't have enough rickrack and, you know, the right widths and all of that. So I'm just going to sew the dress up. I think it's going to be beautiful to wear even just as a dress with those various tiers. And I will kind of worry about the rickrack in the future because it's something that I would be sewing on top anyways. All right, so the plan is to get that sewn up. I am planning to use the pattern Simplicity 8546. This just had a couple of things that I really enjoyed. It has a standing collar with like a collar band, and the collar itself, which I really like, because I think for this dress, I'm just going to be using the collar stand portion so that it looks more like a mandarin collar, like a standing collar. So I'm really excited about that. It does have a yoke in the back, which I'm just going to use that to figure out if I can use it for the widths that I want, which is about, I think I determined about 7 inches wide for each of the rows of fabric. But either way, I think it's a really great sort of foundational piece. One of the things that is quite different is that the inspiration dress from Zimmermann, the button placket front is the same color as the top fabric. So that would be this beautiful, like, I don't know, seafoam blue-ish color. It's really beautiful. When I was cutting out my McCall's 7925, they do in this pattern have a separate pattern piece for the button front placket. So I don't necessarily think I'm going to use it, but what I will do is kind of look at this pattern to see how it's drafted. What do they do differently to the front of the bodice to allow for that separate pattern piece? And then I'll either self-draft or just kind of borrow from the McCall's pattern so I can get that made up. So that's the plan. If you work with linen quite a bit, is serging enough? Have you washed your garments? Does it hold up? How much seam allowance do you leave in there so that if it does begin to fray, you have enough where you can either add a new line of serge, you know, serging so that it kind of brings it back together? Let me know. The next fabric I'm going to show you is like a highlight. I've had this fabric for almost 6 years because it was gifted to me by my aunt. Hi, Auntie Hawa, if you're watching, but it was gifted to me by my aunt during my wedding, and it's glorious. It's incredible. It's an Ankara fabric, and I have not seen an Ankara fabric like this before. So when I remember seeing it and I was blown away, even as I touched it before washing it, it was just so, the sheen on it was different than other Ankara fabrics I've worked with, and I've worked with quite a bit. So I want to show you the drape on this, and I don't know if it's mixed with anything. It said it was 100% cotton, which I believe. I think one of the changes, or one of the things that might you know, be adding to its sort of looser, more drapey nature is that it's a jacquard on top of being a beautiful cotton. I'm hoping that the sheen or the light is going to be able to allow you to see this sort of jacquard print that it has in the fabric. It's so gorgeous. Ankara fabric doesn't always drape like this. This is incredible. It has this really bold, electrifying, gorgeous print on it, which is basically stripes. And it has these sort of like eyes. I guess the fabric, you would more so hold it like this, right? But these colors, this like pecan, butter pecan color, this bright Kelly green, this cobalt blue, the navy orange is back in here. This really bold red, this beautiful fuchsia pink, which reminds me of, you know, the fabric that I was just using there. It's just gorgeous. I love it so much, and I cannot wait to make something with it. I think what I want to make, to be honest with you, I want to make two things with it. I'm going to tell you my plan for the first thing because I do want to commit to making the best version of this item first, and then see what's left over and then decide what I'm going to make. I don't want to kind of go in trying to, you know, preserve fabric and then cheapen the initial look. So the initial thing that I want to make, I want to revisit McCall's 7974. I made one of these before. I made it in a black linen that I had thrifted, and it is gorgeous. Every time I put it on, I feel really great. So I want to revisit it. I think I'm going to, because this print is so bold and busy, it does have colors in there that I feel like I could layer with under it, which is why I'm okay doing something that has a V-neck. What I'm trying to decide now is if I leave it sleeveless, like the black linen one was that I made, or do I add sleeves so that all I need to wear under it is something that's like a short, you know, undershirt, right? So I could wear like a tank under it that I make that has a high neckline, or something that's sleeveless under it. So I don't always have to kind of be looking for something that is long sleeve to wear under it. So that's what I'm thinking. I think I'm going to have so much fun with like placement of where I want some of these colors to go. I think I do want the stripes going down, like up and down in the skirt portion, and then play around with it in other areas of the dress. But I absolutely love this. I think it's going to be great for summer. And I cannot have it for all of the other seasons to come because it's an incredible fabric. So that's the next thing that I want to make, that I think I will be working on kind of simultaneously as I'm sort of chipping away at the Zimmermann inspired dress little by little. Now, over the past couple of months, I've recognized that about 4 makes in a month is like a good standard for me. So I've shown you 4 things. However, in the month of June, towards the end of June, with work and school, we have a different schedule. We have summer hours. It's going to be a bit lighter. I do work year round, but I'm going to be able to take, you know, more vacation days, some work from home. It's just going to be different, which I hope means that I'll have more time to sew, which is why my basket is overflowing with ideas and possibilities. Now, I picked up, when I got that sort of burgundy or deep purple linen look fabric, I also got some of these knits from, this is not a knit, these 3 knits from Joann's in their remnant section. So this is a beautiful ribbing, this is a jersey interlock, and this is a beautiful viscose knit. So really beautiful fabrics that I'm hoping to make some like biker shorts for my daughter, and some like play dresses and stuff like that that she will hopefully love. We shall see. And then finally, I brought in this amazing rayon fabric. I picked this up, I think, at the top of the year, I believe, at G Street Fabric in one of their sales. It's a rayon fabric, super breathable, cool to the touch. May not exactly be my colors, but one of those that just makes me feel good. I have 2 cuts of it, and I think that's going to be enough to make a fabulous dress. I initially had earmarked a pattern that I've made before, Simplicity S8834 with the wrap front, but I have more than enough of this fabric. I don't think I have enough to make like 2 decent items, and I don't think I need 2 items in this print. So I want to make one really great item that uses as much of this fabric as possible. If I do end up going with this because I like the wrap front feature, I might consider changing out the skirt and making something fuller to use, again, as much of this as possible. But alternatively, I have been talking about doing a quick hack to the Butterick 6705, and I have not done it yet. This would allow me to have the high neckline that I want, but still have an umpire waistline. I'm thinking about creating a waistline seam similar to what I did to the S8875. I did a similar hack to Simplicity S8875 with my yellow and So Yellow for Endo dress that I made earlier this year. So I would be really excited to give that a try with this rayon fabric. So I'm gonna see, I don't know yet. That would allow me to then put like a circle skirt or a gathered skirt onto it, allowing me to use more of the fabric. I think that I'm going to leave it there as far as inspo. That's quite a bit, even if I do have summer work hours. I think that's going to be plenty to keep me busy. But if I, you know, make any changes or have new inspiration, I'll be sure to let you know. I hope you're excited to get sewing this summer, and I'm really hopeful that I can get this video out to you today so that tomorrow we can reconnect for Friday sews and I can tell you all about prom. All right. Have a wonderful day, you all. Stay creative. Bye-bye.